Welcome to Face the State. I'm Arianna Bennett. Thank you for joining us. Well, if you're just joining the workforce or maybe considering a change in career, you may not know where to look for a job in an industry that's growing rather than contracting. And that's where my guests for this segment come in. John Parel with the state's Department of Employment, Training and Rehabilitation and Milt Stewart with Nevadaworks are here with me to talk about all that. Thank you both so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Great to have you. Now, Nevada's job market has been really interesting to watch, undergone this huge shift from gaming and tourism and hospitality focused to now we have so much more advanced manufacturing and tech. So now that we're kind of heading into the bulk of 2025, how would you describe our workforce now?
Skilled. There's still room for improvement, but you mentioned it. We went from leisure and hospitality to advanced manufacturing, lots of logistics, just due to the nature of our city, our state. But it's grown. It's grown a lot and improved, and I think we are more diversified now. We cover several industries. We've worked hard to diversify that industry, especially here in Northern Nevada. So we've got a lot of room for improvement, but I think we are tenfold much better than we were even during the recession, which was, I think, a catalyst for a lot of this diversification.
Yeah, I remember, when we kind of started to see this shift initially, there was a lot of talk about the growing pains. And one of those major areas is getting a skilled workforce here that can take these jobs for all these companies that wanted to move here, starting with Tesla, but then expanding well beyond that. And I know for a while there, it was hard to find the people needed who had the skills needed. So how well would you say we're meeting the need now?
We're meeting them pretty well. A lot of the companies, I'd say we've posted 87,000 positions last year, job openings, and many of those were in advanced manufacturing, technology, healthcare, a lot of the industries that we've focused on for the last 10 years, I would say. And so we're meeting those needs. People are moving in fast. We're one of the fastest growing states. And so, I always say, the unemployment rate is almost deceiving because a lot of it is the population growth, secondary to the to the job loss. So, and that brings in skilled workers, but there's also trailing spouses. So that growth is almost exponential. So, and companies notice that. And so you've also seen all the companies that have moved in. And as they come in, the first question is, will I have the skilled workforce that I would need? And well, that's an example. They're still moving in, right? So we're still seeing companies come in here, advanced manufacturing companies, logistics. Our friends in the economic development world have done a good job bringing them in, and we partner with all of them. So.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring up the unemployment rate and how it is deceiving because that was going to be one of my questions.
Yeah.
I looked it up right before this interview and was like, that seems high. 4.5% in the Reno area, right. Higher than that in many Northern Nevada counties. And it's like, I'm not seeing this. So it is. It's kind of odd to consider that why are we higher than the national average?
We have plenty of job postings that we have a hard time filling. Yes, but a lot of them, like I said, it's if you look at it, it's very deceiving because we are getting people moving in faster than most other states. And so that throws off the unemployment rate.
So they're moving in and then maybe just kind of waiting.
Correct.
They're looking while they're here.
And then there's also the trailing spouse that may not have looked or might not have a position that they had planned on right away. So that increases the unemployment rate.
Yeah. So you're nodding your head like you have something to add to this.
No, the trailing spouse. I was a trailing spouse actually, so I can definitely relate with that. And, when we talk about the unemployment rate and folks that are on unemployment, it's really not as easy as saying we have 40,000 jobs available and there's 40,000 people that are looking for jobs. It's the right person with the right skills for the right opportunity. And so that's where some of that comes in as well. And that's where an organization like Nevadaworks, in partnership with DETR, try to skill folks up so that they are good candidates for some of these positions that are available.
Yeah, you make a good point. I think it is deceiving. You look at the numbers and you're like, okay, how are these not adding up? If there's this many open jobs, how are there any people still looking? But it's not a one-for-one trade situation where you can just like put a peg in a hole.
Well, that's where we come in, right? So we retool basically your skills and make you adapt to whatever the economy looks like here. Could have been whatever from California to here or from other states, right?
So which areas right now are you seeing creating the most jobs and needing the most people?
That's easy. So healthcare and technology, I think we would both agree. Yeah, that's the two biggest needs and growth.
Okay.
So healthcare and technology.
So within healthcare, is it all fields, or is it specifically nursing or specifically billing or all of the above?
I'm pretty much saying all of the above. I mean, the growth, we hear that all the time. We have got an aging, society, healthcare. A lot of things are, technology is growing because it's needed. AI, you can name it. It's coming into the workforce, right? And those skills are in high demand. So, and when I say technology, I mean that crosses all industries, right? So, but just even in technology itself, where you're programming and all that, there's big needs there. So.
Yeah, so when you say technology, it's not necessarily like the IT department of a company. It could be working for a tech startup.
Correct.
Or,
yeah,
is it generally software, or could it also be, more hands-on hardware?
Correct. Both, yes. I mean, you look at a logistics company that has its IT that relies heavily on online purchases, and how does that translate into, it's all connected. So, but yes, technology in general is one of our biggest needs up here in Northern Nevada.
Yeah, and to the healthcare industry, one of the things that it's not unique to healthcare, but we see it a lot in healthcare, is that progression, right? So somebody can start at an entry level and then stack credentials on top of each other, so they can go from being a medical assistant to being a doctor, right? And because there's a pathway to do that, and so there are when we talk about healthcare, it's really across the spectrum, but also knowing that you can stack and you can advance in that industry.
Okay. So then what are the barriers to making this pipeline faster, smoother, more efficient?
No, so one of our biggest projects that we tackled, a while back is, 2 years ago, we were mandated by a bill, AB 428, which is the Career Pathways Bill. And that mandated us to work with K-12, secondary, post-secondary, higher education, all the way to the businesses that we work with, and to create these career pathways. As Milt mentioned, in healthcare, for example, right? You start off as a CNA, work your way up to a nurse, and then see what other, where you'd like to go. I want to be an X-ray tech. You're working in a hospital, you get exposed to a lot of that. And that's a lot of the things that we do, that we love doing as well, because then again, you're not putting your eggs in one basket, right? You don't want to invest in the career and then all of a sudden, you don't like blood or whatever, right? So that could be a problem. So what do? We try to bring them in stages. They're able to make a living at the same time and pay their way through school. We help them with training, with a lot of those costs, and so they're shorter, but they're more precise and I would say calculated.
So this would be like offering new licensure opportunities, offering continuing education if they want to veer one direction or the other within their chosen field, that sort of thing?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Is there enough of that? Do we need more? Is there enough funding for these programs?
Well, they can always use more funding, right? And that's just the nature of the beast. But what Nevadaworks has done is I became CEO 3.5 years ago, and we were really one primary funding stream. But since then, we're now at a dozen different funding streams, just recognizing that in order to do the work in an impactful way and across the 13 counties that we serve, it was going to take more funding to do that. And the funding also, depending on where we get it from, opens up other opportunities as well. So one grant may say, okay, you can target healthcare or manufacturing, logistics or whatnot. And so we braid all that together so that we can provide training and those support services that John mentioned so that we can help people be successful. And, you know, we talk about the career seekers, right? But we have two sets of customers: job seekers, career seekers, and businesses. So it's important, you know, supply-demand type of a situation. So we don't entirely focus on those career seekers. They're important. We want to make sure that they're skilled up. But if we don't know what those needs are, if we don't have those conversations with businesses and have those conversations in real time, we can research data that's available from the federal government, from the state, and it's all good information. But what we've done is also create these industry sector partnerships. And basically what we're doing is we're convening employers, and we're flat out saying, what do you need, right? We can read the data. Can you validate this for us? Is this accurate? And is there anything beyond this, or would you substitute anything? And then we talk with our skills acquisition partners, our educational institutions, say, hey, can we pivot here? You know, can we, a lot of what we hear is, quite frankly, soft skills, you know, those employability skills. And, you know, there was a time when that was a given, right? It just happened, right? Just by, you know, by the nature of things. And it's not quite the same today. So there are many times when we have to, provide those soft skills, those employability skills. And those are things that are less tangible, if you will, right? You're not necessarily going to come out with an industry recognized credential on the other side of that, but it's important nonetheless.
That is so interesting. Also love the idea of an industry recognized credential in people skills.
Fair enough.
I feel like there should be something like that. That is also kind of sad to me because it seems like, is this, and maybe this is just me being a cranky millennial, but like, is this a product of our digital lives kind of overtaking our person-to-person interaction? Do you think, is it getting worse with the younger generations, or what's going on here?
No, I wouldn't say that. I think we're learning as we go along and we adapt. When a company comes to us, they need that employee yesterday, typically, right? And so, you know, how can we quickly give them the product, which is the people we train, and how can we give them what they need? Milt touched on a very important part of what we do, right? We can train everybody, like in the old days, we will train hundreds of them, and then hopefully they get a job. But what if you talk to those employees, ultimately you can train as many people as you want, but if they don't get a job, then what good is all that training and money that we spent, right? So this is more targeted, I would say. And so what we're doing is, okay, Mr. Employer, what do you need? Give me the basics that you need. And then not just that, but okay, after you hire this individual, we're going to continue to work with them. You know, we have to come up with worker training programs. How can we grow this person so they're earning an income and then learning at the same time? And yeah, maybe not graduate with thousands of dollars of student loans that they got to go pay back.
Yeah, that's always a benefit. All right, gentlemen, this is a good opportunity for us to take a quick break. But folks, stick with us. Coming up on Face the State, I'll be back with Milt and John to talk more about finding a job in this changing market, getting the training for that. Stay with us.